Good morning. Welcome to the SPOR XEVMPD Quarterly Status Update webinar. Thank you for joining us. We will now start the webinar. Slide, please. Please note that this session is being recorded and it will be made available through the EMA corporate website and YouTube channel. You can interact with us throughout the session via the Slido tool. You can, of course, choose to remain anonymous, but if you give us your personal name details, you are hereby consenting to the processing of your personal data as explained in our data privacy statement. So please note the session is being recorded. Next slide. Throughout the session, you can interact with us via Slido. Join us at that code slide over there. And you will see at the bottom of each slide the link where you can ask us questions. So for reference, at the bottom of each slide, you have the Slido code where you can send us questions. Please, before sending more questions, have a look if that question has been already sent and vote for it instead, because that increases the likelihood of it being addressed at the end of the session. We will try to address some questions in writing as the session goes along. And we will park some questions after specific parts of the session, and we will verbally address the top voted questions, normally around 5, but it depends on the volume of questions and the time that we have left. Next slide, please. We normally receive a lot of questions, so to help us out and to make sure we don't miss anything, please use the labels and label your question, whether it's an OMS question, a PMS question, RMS, and so on. In parallel, we will be labeling these questions ourselves. So if you note that, for example, we're talking about OMS and you've already submitted a question on PMS, it is normal. We will only address the PMS questions when we just covered the topics and the status of the update of PMS. So we will label the questions and we will only address the questions at a specific point in the presentation today. So help us out by labeling them correctly or parking them until the moment is right so that you can see whether that question has been addressed or not. Today's presentation will be available as usual in the SPOR Portals document section and also at EMA Events webpage. And the recording will be made eventually available via the EMA YouTube channel in that link there, where you can also find other SPOR webinars. Next slide. Today, we will do a brief status update of the different SPOR domains, and this is a quarterly update that we provide. So we focus on what have we done in the previous quarter and what are we planning to do on the next quarter that will benefit or impact our users. I just went through the welcome and housekeeping notes, the boring part of the session. We will, of course, do an SMS, OMS, and RMS update as usual, followed by some questions. And considering the feedback that you gave us last time, we incorporated 2 new changes today. So today, there will be a little coffee break halfway through the session, 10 minutes, not a lot, but enough for a bio break. And we will then continue with XEVMPD PMS update. And we've introduced something we call the featured topics, a little bit of a collection of relevant topics for information that we will explore a little more beyond the usual updates of what have we done and what are we going to do next. At the end, we wrap up with a few conclusions and summary of what we just said and the key messages. And please always use the opportunities to look at our Slido survey polls to give us more feedback of how can we improve and what feedback we need to consider for next webinar. So that's basically for today. We also have a new change. I will briefly hand over to Mihaela for the SMS status update, as Pedro was not available. So Mihaela, off to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mihaela Shishu, and I will give you today a brief update on the SMS activities that have been completed, those that are currently ongoing, as well as planned and on hold activities. So regarding our data management activities, our data enrichment exercises concerning INNs, USAN, UNI, and European Pharmacopoeia, substance data are ongoing based on the new publication of data. On a quarterly basis, we are also performing an enrichment of custom attribute for the role of substances used in human products. And for Q1 of 2026, we are planning the yearly enrichment related to the Union list of critical medicines upon the publication of a new list, which is usually expected around December. So towards the end of the year. As part of our data quality activities, in Q3 of this year, the herbal substance data has been cleansed, and for the upcoming quarter, we are planning to address animal-related substance data. The upcoming class for the data cleansing will be the homeopathics, and that is currently expected to continue at least until mid-2026. In terms of documentation, a new version of the SMS guidance document has already been published. And new versions, upcoming versions are expected based on the evolution of the data cleansing activities that are currently ongoing or planned. Regarding the awareness and visibility, we'll continue having the quarterly SPOR status update webinars, our monthly Q&A clinics, as well as the general customer satisfaction survey. Lastly, on the information management modernization initiatives, the Informatica MDM upgrade is the current priority. Shifting our focus now to the activities completed in the last quarter. So the most important one is the herbal substances, including plants, fungi, and algae, enrichment and data cleansing. We have performed this as a very good quick win to cleanse our substance data and to enable future cleansing of homeopathic substances and herbal extracts. We've managed to accomplish almost 4,000 records, so 6% of all substances cleansed in one single quarter, which is a very big achievement for us. And just a note on this regarding the herbal substances to be cleansed, herbal extracts and other herbals have not been included, as these are specified substance group 1. So this will be in upcoming data cleansing exercises. We are doing this because we want to improve the overall data quality of our substance data. We want to prevent pharmacovigilance change requests and doing this proactively to support these activities furthermore. And with this cleansing accomplished now, we have reached a very important milestone of over 50% of all current substances being cleansed. Then regarding the SMS guidance that has been recently published, which I've mentioned earlier as well, we are happy to include new additional business rules in this one. It includes new business rules regarding herbals and veterinary vaccines. And with this, we hope to support better with predictability of how substances will be registered and maintained. And with this, we are enhancing our support through documentation. And as you've seen, we are planning on continuing with this along the advancement of the data cleansing exercising. So moving to the next slide. In terms of what we are planning to do in the next quarter, so the next one planned on the list is the animal cleansing. SMS pre-cleansing completed already for animals and animal parts. This is envisioned. So the SVG discussion is to be started in October. Regarding the animal cleansing, please note that allergen extracts won't be included because these are structurally diverse allergens, their classification, so they will be out of the scope for this. However, we are doing this to further improve the data quality and when we will reach the allergens as well as part of the structurally diverse other later on. Then next one's planned for the next quarter. We have the homeopathic cleansing as well. And this will also, we hope to increase the number of overall substances that have been mapped to support the overall improvement of data quality. Furthermore, we will continue with publishing of smaller versions for the SMS guidance document in this regards, along with the cleansing exercises. So we will include any new business rules or any new points to consider furthermore based on how the data cleansing evolves. So finally, to sum it up, in terms of what has been done, we have completed the herbal data cleansing and published recently the SMS guidance document with new business rules on the herbals and veterinary vaccines. Our ongoing work includes the animal cleansing and the development of new versions for the SMS guidance document, and as well the priority on the Informatica MDM upgrade. What we are planning to do next includes the homeopathic cleansing, and for the time being, we currently have the human vaccines cleansing and the SVG flag 0 cleansing on hold. So I think that is it for the presentation. Now it's time for the Q&A.
So let me switch 1 second. Okay, so we have the first question. When will the SMS carrying extract in be fixed? All columns are merged in one column.
I'm not aware of a particular problem with the SMS current extract, and I have a suspicion that it's about opening the CSV file and something wrong with opening the CSV file and converting it in Excel. If you could provide us more details or provide a ticket so that we can investigate to see what's happening. I'm particularly not aware of anything with the extract.
Okay, thank you. We have the next one is numerous chemical ingredients still appear with the blank flag. By when they should be fully cleaned?
So as previously mentioned, we are now just reaching 50% of substances being cleansed. So we are still left with a large amount still to be cleansed. So you can expect this to happen as we progress with the data cleansing. For chemicals, this has been performed before. It might be something that has been missed. So I believe this will be further improved in time. But for the time being, you will see that the SVG flag 0 or 1, or it might be blank for those that have not been cleansed yet.
And just to say, so there was an extensive cleansing of the chemical substances, and once that was completed, there's a set of rules. So very likely these blank substances have been created after that initial cleansing, and there are therefore already applying the agreed business rules. So in terms of priority, is more likely that we will move to other classes that we haven't looked at than revisiting the chemicals. So you can use those substances even if there's nothing in the flag, because they're less risky, let's say, than other classes that we know we have to look at more carefully first.
Okay, thank you. When the SVG will finish review all the substances?
We don't have a concrete plan at hand, so Pedro would know much better than us all these details. I understand the SVG has an intention to do most of the review in 26, but please bear with us. I don't have the details exactly of which classes and by when today on us to share.
Thank you. The SMS substance list, current and non-current, are missing products that are in the XEVMPD. The substances were on the old XEVMPD substance list. How are MA holders supposed to check if the substance is flagged with SVG flag 0 if it is not on the list?
Sure, I follow the question. The substances don't miss products. It's maybe the other way around. And as far as I'm aware, we've covered all the substances applicable in products when we migrated the products to PMS. So as far as I'm aware, all the substances used in XEVMPD products are incorporated in SMS to a degree. I'm not sure I follow the question. I don't know, Marcos, if
No, me
you
neither. But
understand it.
maybe it would be better if you let us know specific cases, like a substance is missing somewhere, so we can check. But as Isabel said, we have taken all the substances from XEVMPD and they shouldn't be missing. So just in case you have found like a specific one that is missing, maybe it's better if you can report it via a ticket. So thank you. Yeah.
So it is possible that if you check by the name that you submitted in XEVMPD, that is not the preferred name in SMS now, because there was a very dedicated cleansing of the substances names, but all of the substances in XEVMPD have been mapped. And in theory, if you search by EV code of the substance, you will find the EV code in SMS. That's a way to find it. And then you can find the name, and then you can see the SVG flag 0. So I think that's the easiest way. Search by EV code, find the corresponding name, and then see what is the corresponding SVG flag. You might not necessarily find it easily if you search by a name that we have since adjusted or cleansed in some way.
Perfect, thank you. I think we still have a couple of questions for SMS. So we have received a few third acknowledgement that change the substance with an SVG flag 0 substance. How is this possible? I think that might be maybe a question for XEVMPD rather than SMS. So maybe I can take it. So in principle, what we are doing in XEVMPD is checking that the substances that you are submitting are correct, and if they have the SVG flag 0, then we are proving them. If we have not performed the validation correctly, then there is a process already in place. You need to open a ticket for the XEVMPD team and tell them that you don't agree with the validation that they have performed, and just give them the reason. And if they agree, they will revert the change. So sorry, first of all, for this validation mistake, but there is a process you can follow to revert it back. So would it be possible to share the timelines, plan, and priorities for future cleansing waves?
Mentioned, unfortunately, I do not have that information with me today, but I will take note, and maybe it could be a feature topic for next time, for next webinar. So please suggest it at the end of the webinar as a Slido suggestion. What would you like to see there? And we can consider sharing the SVG timelines plans.
Okay, thank you. When we click on download the SMS export, it opens automatically with merged columns. Do you have any tips on how to open it as a CSV file?
I do believe that there is already tips in the SMS guidance on how to download and open it. But again, I don't know by heart. So if you still don't find the information in the SMS guidance, please send us a ticket and we will reply to the ticket and we will make sure we reflect it in the guidance for everybody's
benefit. I think
benefit.
I can give some tips already.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's also general, just as any CSV file, it's importing it, for instance, in Excel if you're using that. So I believe there are some instructions on it, but it depends a lot on what each individual is using. So like not all people might be using Excel, they might be using something else. So then the general way of doing that is to import it, not just open it, so double click on it and then I understand now it's probably related to the previous question as well with the merged columns. So if you import it, then it shows up as a report and then you can see each column separately and you can filter by them and see the flags as well and the custom attributes and all the useful information for you. So I hope this clarifies a bit. Otherwise, you can always open a ticket and we can provide more step-by-step instructions on this. But information is also available on the internet. You can look on how to work with CSV files as well, but we're more than happy to support you with this too.
Thank you, Mihaela. So previously, substances were available, for example, for ethanol 15, 30, and 96%. Now only ethanol can be selected. This means that the composition can often no longer be displayed as in 32P1. Why was this changed?
We are applying the rules that have been discussed with the experts group. So I can't remember now why this was changed, but it's not a recommendation.
Okay. When will substances with an empty SVG flag and substance type equals structurally diverse allergen be reviewed?
Again, it's a similar question about the SVG cleansing plan. We don't have it at hand. I cannot tell you whether it's going to be March or December next year, and we have to circle back to the next webinar. You will see also today that we have monthly clinics, and for the next monthly clinic, our expert will be available to ask some of these questions, which we don't have an answer at the moment.
Thank you. So the next question is, when will herbal preparations be cleansed? I think there are a lot of questions regarding when different substances will be cleansed. So I think, yeah, we already have the answer. I think we will provide this information right on the following webinars and also in the clinics that we have every month. You can go there and we can provide additional information. So is there a defined frequency from EMA to publish the union list of critical medicines? I think that's for me, maybe. So we published, I think it was before summer, like around or beginning of the year, we published the first version of the products from PMS that were impacted by the union list of critical medicines. This list is evolving because there are products that are authorized and there are withdrawn products. So if you go to that list, it explains that we are not going to maintain this export anymore because it requires a lot of capacity to maintain this report. Nevertheless, in the product UI, in the PLM portal, you can access a BI report that will give you a list of your products that are impacted by the union list of critical medicines. It is based on the SMPC, on the ATC code. So it will give you this list and you can use it to identify which are the products that are impacted by this list.
And I think in general terms, usually it's towards the end of the year when a new version would be expected.
For the ATC codes, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why for the SMS activities, then we would wait for that one to be published, and afterwards we would perform the review and see what has changed and what we need to also update in SMS.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so the next question is, if a substance has a flag 0, but there's no comment like duplicate of or something else, can the substance with flag 0 be maintained for the moment?
We would still suggest in this case that you look for another substance that has SVG flag 1 or currently no flag, because if they are marked with SVG flag 0, it has been identified as a substance that should not be used in product records. And if you have difficulties with finding a replacement for it, you can also raise a ticket and we can advise further based on the particularities of the product. So we will check in the SMPC, for instance, and we can better suggest a replacement for that one.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. So why human normal immunoglobulin IV was flagged 0 in SMS? Now human normal immunoglobulin is the preferred term, while the Pharma European monograph 0918 already states that it is for intravenous administration. I don't know if that is a very specific question that we might need to check internally maybe. So yeah, I think it's a very specific question. Maybe it's better if you open a ticket in ServiceNow so we can have time to review everything and give you a proper answer. And I think with that, we don't have more questions for SMS. Also, we don't have more time. We need to move to the next service. That is, I don't know which one, OMS. So I'll.
Off to Deborah.
Okay. Bear with me 1 second. So Deborah, over to you.
Thank you. So for OMS, starting with our customer service, during the last quarter, we will be performing our annual review of our FAQs and the knowledge articles available in ServiceNow. In terms of data management, as you heard in a previous webinar, we've implemented the version comment in our API. This is now available for any API user to access. As we go, we are completing each and every version with a reason why a new version has been created. Beginning of next year, we plan to expand our network in order to not only to help us improving our data quality, to ensure that we have what we're using is the best standards available, but also to create a channel with important entities that will speed up when we need it to investigate any particular cases. In terms of data quality, we continue creating new and update our data quality profiles. This is crucial to help us ensuring a good data quality of our OMS data. So we continue with the assessment of our legal entity types. This is a major activity that we've been talking for a couple of updates, webinar updates now. But as you can imagine, we're reviewing the all EEA legal entity types with the National Business Registry, with the local sources. Later on, we want to do an impact assessment to understand in terms of volumes if is it worth it to implement the right rules, or if there will be a negative impact in any procedure. And later on, if positive output from this assessment, then we will implement the right rules that are currently being used by the National Business Registry, each National Business Registry. In terms of documentation, I will give you more information in the next slide, but we've published a draft version of a new document, a policy on alternative names. I will tell you more in the next slide. Later on the year, we will do a review of our category descriptions. I will also talk a little bit more in a couple of slides about this. And starting next year, we want to work on an OMS merge document, a document to give more information to our users on what a merge is, what any actions that we do on our end, what will be the impact to the user, and any actions that will be required, if there are any actions required for the user every time a merge takes place in OMS. In terms of awareness and visibility, we started last month our first SOAR clinic. It will be happening until the end of the year, once a month. So these dates are published, and we continue with our quarterly SPOR updates webinar, and to highlight the customer satisfaction surveys that will be running starting today. In terms of modernization, so for the current quarter until the end of the year, we will be working in the in the upgrade of our platform, and this basically will take over all the time until the end of the year. Moving on into the what I started mention. So we've recently published in our OMS portal a drafted version of a policy on alternative names. So we want to, we created this document because we understand it's unclear the data management rules that we are using, and there are certain inconsistencies on the use of this alternative, of this field, of this OMS alternative name field, and there are we've received a lot of questions and misleading understandings. So how we plan to do this? So we've created this draft version, is published in our portal. So this is we will work in consultation with the key user group. Basically, the structure will be, we would like to share share more about the process and the business rules used by our OMS data stewards, how we maintain this field. So we will share more information about the sources of information and the standards used. This will have to be country specific. And we would also share some considerations for any integration and the use of this field in a regulatory procedure. So as I said, the first draft is now published in our OMS portal, and it's open for any external comments. So we've started the document with 6 EEA countries. This is going to be a work. It's a work in progress. We will be adding more countries as we go, but we would like to, as we're working on this policy, we would like to open this to everyone so that you can help us ensure that what we have there is accurate, and try to and please help us ensure that what we are using is the right rules according to the jurisdiction of each country. Any comments can be submitted to us via EMA service desk using the question form. If you for future reference, you can, I've added the link here. If easier, feel free to download the document from the portal and to add any comments on the PDF version and to attach the same in the ticket. If you see that this will help with a better understanding and to foment the discussion. So in terms of impact, with this policy, we aim to share all the rules with all users to ensure consistency with the national business registry rules. We aim to provide clear recommendation on the use of these alternative names, and of course to simplify compliance with regulatory standards used by different business units. Now moving on into what's coming next. So I already touched base. So next we want to do a review to our category document and review the description of each category. So why we're doing this? Because it's part of our ongoing and continuous review of all documents. This is a document that was published when we went live almost 10 years ago, and we want to ensure that what we have there is accurate, and also to help us improving our data profiling. With this, we aim to, of course, to share with our users a clear view of the categories that we're using, and also to facilitate the filtering and the usage of OMS data. moving on into the highlights. So what we want to highlight to you. So what changed recently? So the version reason was deployed into the API. So this is now when we are enriching our records, any new version with a reason why was it created. Last quarter we concluded the knowledge transfer into the new IT supplier. So and right now we're working on the upgrade of our internal system and working on the policy of alternative names. We've published this and now open for public consultation. In terms of upcoming changes, so we will be working on a new version of the category document and review each description. We will continue the review of organization legal entity types, and we want to start working on our OMS merge guideline. On hold, we want to continue working on some backlog and to perform some OMS improvements, such as trying to ensure the maintenance of National Business Registry using the change request and not with the need of going to ServiceNow and create a ticket. We would like to also to improve our using experience by creating something in OMS that already exists in RMS, which is creating the return change request feature. And last but not least, to bring into OMS the subscription feature to help our users to make our user experience easier in terms of traceability of each record.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Just in time. So we are moving now to Slido. So let me switch here. And I think we have a couple of questions for OMS. So the first one would be the several self-employed consultants have been removed from OMS. How should consultants be added as contacts, no authors, in the EAF if they do not have an OMS org ID or log ID anymore?
This question, I believe, we would need some guidance from EAF colleagues, but here, just to tell you that any contact information, any QPP information needed to be used in the EAF, this data does not need to be in OMS. These fields, there are indeed some marketing authorization holder, manufacturer, this type of information, yes, is mandate to be in OMS because it's used in EAF. Demands that it's used from the OMS list. However, when it comes to contacts in QQPVs, this data doesn't have to come from OMS. I hope this answered the question. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Deborah. The next one is our freelance consultant can't be created in OMS and is thus not available as contact person in the web EAF. But company is mandatory, so the requirements of a doc process to include individuals seems not to be met. Is there a workaround to include this contact in OMS or in the web EAF?
I think, again, it's the same question. It depends on the scopes. So this ad hoc process was created to help a certain type of procedures. So this ad hoc process, we can only create natural persons and freelancers if they are required to issue either a GMDP certificate, if they are assuming a marketing authorization holder in EV, or if they are acting as a marketing authorization holder or sponsor in UPD. All others, they will not be under this ad hoc process because they are not required to come from OMS. So here again, I'll tell you, please find any guidance from EAF on the use of this data.
Okay, thank you. So some of our requests for changes is getting rejected even submitting valid documentation such as GMP certificates. Please, can you let us know what is the reason and also what is base document you refer and from where while validation and address or organization?
So OMS is a standard dictionary of organization and location data. We accept certificates to support your request, but remember, our data will not be a copy of each supporting documentation. Our data will be a standardized information of the supporting documentation. So yes, sometimes locations may not have all the door numbers required for a certain inspection, but these data can also be added later on as part of the remark section of the certificate. This is not master data, it's a data that is specific for a certain inspection, and for the reason it should be added as part of the inspection remarks.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible for a marketing authorization holder to ask to create a new log ID for a health authority that is currently missing in OMS?
Yes, if you have the right supporting documentation, remember anyone can propose a change to the OMS to any entity available in the OMS dictionary, as long as you're able to provide the required supporting documentation. And now you may ask what will be. So in this type of case, we're talking of an authority. So we would require a headed letter from the authority stating that they are now using X location as part of their activities.
Okay. How can we challenge the address doctor? We have an address in OMS that doesn't correspond to the reality of postal practice.
For this, please create an OMS question using service desk, and we will validate, present all your arguments, and we'll be able to validate against we will verify in the National Postal Service this information, and if we find that indeed what we have is not accurate, we will be able to overwrite this information, the information we have in OMS.
It would be good to receive a notification if there have been updates on specific organizations in the system. Is there currently a possibility to do this, or is something planned into this regard?
So yes and yes. So today, is it possible to get this information? It's possible using the API. You just have to build the capability to identify these changes. And is it something planned in this regard? Yes. In the future, we have in our, as you saw in the slides, one of the features that we have there and we want to implement is the subscription feature, just like RMS has. Unfortunately, other priorities, other urgencies had taken priority, so this feature has been deprioritized. But today, if you developed through using the API, you can get this information.
Thank you. Is the location ID, if the location ID is inactive in OMS, but that is there in the website, the same address? So,
I think if the website you refer to our OMS portal, this is accurate. Remember, OMS doesn't delete anything. So if an organization is no longer doing business in a certain location, this will be deactivated, but it will never disappear from the system. It will forever remain there, but with an inactive status.
okay, I think we have time for one more question. So, can you confirm will the cover letter of EUDRA GMP works for adding a location for existing organization, or do you consider it strictly the NBR? Also, we are unable to access the links from NBR in OMS guidance.
Yes, I can confirm to add a location. Eldred MDP certificate is enough. However, to add an organization, this will not be sufficient. But to add a location, this is enough because we understand entities have the National Business Registry, and most of the National Business Registry only allow the registration of one location. So we have to accept other documentations to add, for example, manufacturer locations to the OMS. Answering this, the second part, also we're able to access. We've received this from several users, but we've reviewed our document. I don't know if you could please open a ticket to tell us exactly which of the link is not working. We'll be happy to review the PDF version again. It's possible that one link has been updated, and we'll be happy to review it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So I think the time is over for OMS, and now we will move on to RMS. So Jaume, over to you.
Thank you, Marcos. So hi, everyone. My name is Jaume Gonzalez. I'm the business lead for RMS. So I'll be happy to drive you through the slides to describe the activities on the RMS side. So on the data management front, last quarter, we started the analysis of the bulk update process for the EMDN list, which is basically a catalog of medical devices owned by the European Commission. And this is planned to last at least until the end of the year. In addition, and actually as of the second quarter of this year, we are providing enhanced support for ATC translations. So any NCAs needing national translations for the ATC list, they can contact us and we can provide support with that. In terms of data quality, as you can see in the slide, there's a lot going on. At the end of last quarter, we published the new human variation classification list in RMS, and this is following the review of the variation regulation by the European Commission. And I will give more details on this in the next slide. And we also published the new VEDRA version 21. We're also in the process of getting the new MEDRA version 28.1 published very soon. And we'll start another review of the manufacturing activity list to add aliases and to review any pending change requests. We also plan to start the review of 3 important lists, which are the special precautions for storage, shelf life, and material. And I'll also provide more information on these topics in one of my slides later. Another activity planned for this quarter is the publication of the EMDN list. And last but not least, this quarter we plan to resume work to either create or update data quality profiles and data quality reports. And this is to improve data quality through actions like, for example, missing term descriptions, assigning current terms to non-current terms, and other actions. Moving on to documentation, the review of list information documents started at the beginning of the year, and it should continue until the first quarter of 2026. Or perhaps if we have capacity for it, we may be able to complete this by the end of the year. And you will see concrete numbers on this later. Also, something new is the publication of the yearly update summary for the VEDRA list, which basically highlights the changes with the new version, and I will provide more details later. In terms of awareness, this has already been covered, so I will not repeat. And last but not least, and regarding modernization activities, last quarter we started to work on the functionality to see previous versions of RMS terms via the API, and this work is planned to continue until the end of the year approximately. The Informatica MDM system is planned to be upgraded soon, so testing started last quarter and it's expected to finish by the end of this quarter. Last, the analysis of the integration between the MEDRA API and the RMS API is also planned to start this quarter. If we can move to the next slide, please. Now, in terms of work completed last quarter, And as I was mentioning earlier, we published the new human variation classification list. This is following the revision of the variation regulation by the European Commission. As a reminder, the kickoff, the entry into force for this new regulation is 15th of January 2026. But this has already been published for information only in the RMS portal. And this is for users to be able to prepare for the submissions planned for next year. What this means in practice is that ongoing applications can continue to use old codes until completion of those procedures. New applications submitted before the 15th of January must use old codes, and any new applications submitted from the 15th of January onwards will have to use the codes from the new variation classification. In addition, we continued the review of key list information documents, which was started at the beginning of the year. Initially, 30% of the lists in RMS were missing this document. And for this quarter, we've published additional 15 list information documents. So now the percentage is down to 14% of lists in RMS missing this document. Or in other words, we have completed 86% of list information documents. So we hope that this will improve transparency and increase efficiency and awareness of these RMS lists, as well as reduce the number of questions that we receive for those RMS lists, as well as submission errors. The work will continue as we still have 31 lists left out of the total of 219 lists that are missing this document. The other piece of work completed last quarter was the publication in the document section of the RMS portal of a document showing the terms inserted, updated, and deprecated with the yearly review of the VEDRA list. The reason for doing this is that there's no easy way to identify within the SPOR portal what exactly has changed with the new VEDRA version. And with this new document, we are increasing transparency and awareness of this list update. If I can move to the next slide, please. So here we see the main activities planned for the present quarter. The first item is the update of the MEDRA list. You may be aware that MEDRA is updated twice yearly by MSSO, who are the owners of this list. And then RMS publishes the updates in the RMS portal as soon as possible after these updates are made available. Now, the new MEDRA version 28.1 was released by MSSO on the 15th of September. We are currently in the process of checking and testing the changes, and the expectation is that these changes will be reflected in RMS by the end of this week, hopefully. As a result of these operational updates, this list should be complete and up to date, which may increase the use of the list, and also it should reduce the number of requests for new or updated terms. After the review of the manufacturing activity list that ended in January 25, we are now planning also for another review of the list, but this time the focus will be on aliases or other names, as only a few terms from this list have them, and this may create confusion and it may raise questions from users. So also this review should include checking any pending change requests received since the last review. Timeline for this. The consultation with the multidisciplinary group is planned for this quarter, and the updated list and minutes should be published in the RMS portal after completion. With this, we are planning to improve clarity and process efficiency, as aliases should help improve understanding of the terms and reduce the number of questions or change requests rejected for this list. Last but not least, we are also planning to review three important lists in RMS, which are the special precautions for storage, shelf life, and material list. And this is mainly due to the increasing number of requests received for these lists and the need to have them ready for PMS implementation. This was expected to start in the past quarter, but priorities had to be changed. So the plan is to identify subject matter experts in Q4, and then to start the actual review and to implement any agreed changes by the end of the first quarter of 2026. With this review, we hope to provide reassurance to users that lists are fit for purpose, and we will ensure that the selection of referentials in regulatory applications is as straightforward as possible. If I can move to the next slide, please. So, quick summary of RMS activities. Work that has been completed is the publication of the new human variation classification list, the publication of the new VEDRA version 21, and the yearly update summary of the VEDRA list. In addition, we are also continuing to provide support to NCAs who need to add translations to ATC lists. In terms of ongoing work, we have the publication of the new MEDRA version 28.1. We are also continuing to publish list information documents that were missing so far, and there's also ongoing work on the MDM upgrade. Changes expected in the near future are the review of the manufacturing activities, and in particular, the possible enrichment with aliases and any pending change requests, the review of the special precautions for storage, shelf life, and materials list, and the work on new or updated data quality profiles. And last but not least, and more in the longer run, we are planning to work on the integration of the RMS API and the MEDRA API, and the publication of the medical device list, as well as the implementation of a bulk update process to ensure future updates of this list. So this is the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Jaume.
We can move to questions now, please.
Yes. So I think we have a couple of questions for RMS. The first one is, will a separate MBO term be created in RMS for QC testing of solvent and diluent? Can sites that are authorized for QC testing of solvent diluent be considered to be not in a scope of ESMP enrichment?
So I think I can take the first part. The second part, I think I will have to check offline because I'm not too sure about it, or perhaps any of my colleagues can chip in. For the first part, I've checked into the knowledge that we got from inspections colleagues, and what I can see is that solvent and diluent is considered a finished product, so it doesn't need a special category. So therefore, what should be reported is the general, quality control testing of medicinal product. So that's the advice that we got from inspections. I hope this clarifies. If not, perhaps I suggest that the person who raised this can contact me directly.
Okay.
And for the second part, if no one can chip in, then I'll make sure that this is followed up because I don't know the answer to this.
I would say that it's a similar answer. So if the solvent and diluent is considered as a finished product, then the term for the finished product should be used also on the ESMP enrichment. And as we don't have this term, but we have a QC of the medicinal product, then that one should be used. But we can confirm with the ESMP colleagues.
Thank you, Marcos.
So the next one is, by when the manufacturing activity term list review will be terminated and updated in PMS for the current MBOs enrichment?
So this is dependent on the actual review of the list, so on RMS. And as just mentioned, the review is planned for this quarter, and hopefully it should be completed by the end of the year. The good thing about this is we already have an established list of subject matter experts from these different disciplines, so it should be relatively quickly to gather them and to be able to discuss this. So the expectation is by the end of the year, and then soon afterwards it should be reflected in PMS.
Okay, thank you, Jaume. Well, I can confirm that as soon as it's in RMS, it will be in PMS. So, yeah, thank you for the answer. So we'll separate MBO term. I think we already have this. It was the first one, so
yeah, I can take this. I can take this one because we also had actually this one is different. This one is for intermediate active substance.
Yeah, sorry, it's the QC testing for the active substance intermediate. Yeah, the other one.
So it's a bit similar. So so there's no distinction in between intermediate active substance and finished active substance in terms of reporting of manufacturing activities. So a bit similar to what we said for finished product. So again, in this case, the general term should be used. So quality control testing of the finished active substance. That's what should be used for this.
Okay, thank you. So the current IDs for manufactured activities could be changed to be different, the name or the ID.
So IDs never change. There might be a term name update if needed. In that case, only the name would change, but the ID would be exactly the same. Yeah. In case there is perhaps a new activity added, a new term added, then that would have a completely new ID. I hope this clarifies.
Yeah, thank you. So in principle, we don't have additional questions for RMS. You still have a couple of minutes in case you want to raise any additional question for RMS. Otherwise, in the meantime, and as we will have the break, before the break, we want to give you, Isabel is going to give you a bit of a update on the satisfaction survey.
So, as you know, we normally run a yearly customer satisfaction survey of our SPOR and XEVMPD services. We tended to email users and give a couple of weeks to collect feedback. And we've already explained in previous webinars that we are changing the strategy. Now we will publish a new link, a new survey every 6 months. And instead of leaving it open for a couple of weeks, we will leave it open for 5 months. So you can come at any point in time and give us feedback. We will look at it twice over the year and launching a new service around Q2 and around Q4 with the status update webinars. Anybody can provide us feedback, but ideally it should be SPOR and XEVMPD users, so familiar with the systems and the services. The Slido link that you see there will be publicly available on EMA website. And you can see that there are many questions on the satisfaction levels, and you can give us your feedback on different aspects of our services. It's quite a long survey, I might add, but it takes about 5 minutes, and a lot of the questions are optional, so you don't necessarily need to go through them. We do appreciate if you take the time. It should take 5 minutes to give us not just the negative feedback of the things that we need to improve on, but also if you can give us feedback on the things that you would do appreciate, because if you don't, we might discontinue something because we believe you don't like it, and actually it's something that you appreciate. So please give us positive and negative feedback wherever possible. The survey has just been launched, is available on the link that you see on the website. It will remain published on EMA website. And now I give you a couple of minutes, not just to do the survey, which we appreciate, but for the coffee break, Marcos. So as promised, last time you gave us feedback that you appreciated a little bit of a bio break. So now bear with us. We will make a 10-minute break and we will be back at 11:20. So if you do have the time in your spare bio break, please use the time to give us a valuable and insightful feedback.
Okay. Hello, colleagues. Welcome back. So after this 10 minutes break, I hope you have all filled the survey as per Isabel's request. Then we can continue with the next service. In this case is XEVMPD. So Veronica, over to you.
Thank you, Marcos, and good morning, everyone. I will be providing you with a short XEVMPD status update, starting with XEVMPD customer services. As I've mentioned in the previous webinars, we are working on the review and upload of XEVMPD frequent questions and answers as articles in service now. This will be for marketing authorization holders as sponsors. So please bear with us. We will have some of them already uploaded for you by the end of Q4 of this year. With regards to XEVMPD data management, just a little reminder to everybody that there have been a few process changes which were put in place from the beginning of this year. These relate to the composition submission as per Module 3. We also have the new marketing authorization pending status. And as you are aware, there was a slight change in how to notify the marketing authorization transfer process, which affects access to PMS data in PMS. The next change the next update is related to the XEVMPD and PMS mapping services, which are provided by us to national competent authorities. I will be talking about this in more detail in a minute. As we have also mentioned in the previous webinars, we are working on the process improvements related to the validation of updated authorized medicinal products in clusters. With regards to data quality, we continue to review the data quality of the medicinal product information in order to support PMS. This is related mainly to the authorization numbers and, as you are aware, critical medicines and also centrally approved product information compliance. With regards to documentation, this is an update that is related to the upgraded XEVMPD user interface that we are currently working on. I will again provide more details on this in the next slide in a minute. With regards to XEVMPD awareness and visibility, as you might know, we have started to have monthly XEVMPD Q&A clinics. We will have the next one, I believe, next week. We also doing our regular SPOR updates webinar. So this is the last one for this year, and we will have another one in Q1 and then in Q2 of the next year. With regards to information management modernization initiatives, again, hopefully you are aware of the fact that we are working on an upgraded XEVMPD user interface. The development approval have been received, and we've already started on this. And again, I will be providing further information related to where we are with the internal user acceptance testing and the rollout on the next slide. The work that has been completed in Q3, well, as I've mentioned before, we have started to provide mapping services to national competent authorities. This is work that has been ongoing, and the service that we provide has been extended until June 2026. This is due to the submission deadline for industry related to the packages that may not be available by the end of 2025. With regards to the automatic product level mapping, that was concluded for 23 national competent authorities datasets, and the manual mapping is currently ongoing. What is the benefit for EMA and EU regulatory network? It's improved interoperability, higher data quality and consistency, also PMS and ESMP readiness. With regards to the upgraded XEVMPD user interface, why are we doing it? Well, we would like to deliver an upgraded version of the current interface that we have in Q1 2026. As I mentioned before, the development is ongoing. We have also started our internal UAT phase 1 in September. This particular phase of the UAT was focusing on testing functionalities within the user interface for external users. So that means you, marketing authorization holder sponsors, and national competent authority users. The UAT phase 2 is currently foreseen for Q4 2025, and this will focus on the functionalities which are located currently outside of the user interface. By that, I mean specifically the bulk update, bulk export, and also EV post. What is the benefit to you? Well, for start, you will not need any additional software such as ActiveX and IETAP extension to access this user interface when this new upgraded user interface becomes available. The access will be easier. It will be browser-based. You can use it in all the supported browsers, but specifically, the support that EMA will be provided is for users that use Chrome and Edge to access this user interface. The plan is that the upgraded user interface will have the same look and feel as the current user interface. There will be no need for retraining on how to use this solution, how to submit product information, how to update product information, etc. The application is very similar and also intuitive. What we will be focusing on in Q4 of this year, we are currently working on the update of the user manual as the very first document. And we are hoping to deliver the updated versions of all the documentation before the planned rollout. However, specifically, the user manual of the upgraded user interface is foreseen to be delivered by the end of Q4 2025. Why? This is to give you maybe a sneak preview at the screenshots that will be included in the user manual. Also, there will be a section on some of the main differences, so you become familiar with the look and feel of the new user interface, and we will give you some sort of information about what you can expect. We will also be working on the other documentation related to, for example, training. As you know, the training, XEVMPD training is delivered by DIA, so that's the virtual training organized by the external training organizer, but we also have an in-house e-learning training, which is organized by the EMA. So obviously, we will be reviewing all this documentation and also publishing the updated presentations, step-by-steps, etc. And in terms of highlights to you, aside from those I've already mentioned that, related to what has changed since the beginning of the year, as I mentioned, the ongoing work is mainly related to the data mapping services for national competent authorities, then the development of the upgraded user interface and the review and update of the documentation related to the user interface, and also to the conversion of the XEVMPD related questions and answers into articles in ServiceNow. With regards to the future changes, as I've mentioned previously, we will provide you with a draft of the user manual for the new user interface towards the end of Q4. So hopefully you will find this useful. And with regards to future changes, we are aiming to have the new user interface rolled out into production, so made available to you towards the end of Q1 2025. We're also working on the improvement of cluster validations for the updated authorized medicinal products. And as my colleagues mentioned, the future change that's coming at some point will be the integration of product validation with review of substance with SVG flag 0. Marcos, can we go to the questions and answers?
Yeah, so just in time, again, here you have the QR code, and I guess we already have a couple of questions for XEVMPD. Okay, so when will the issue, that is a PMS one, but it's okay. When will the issue with transfer MA holders subject to pack size enrichment be resolved? New EV codes created in XEVMPD are generating multiple PMS IDs instead of being combined. So I think here we are mixing two things. The first thing is the transferred MAs on the pack sizes. This is going to be solved this quarter. So the general issue was solved. So if you have transfers that is happening right now, this issue shouldn't happen. For the impacted products where you cannot see the transfer packages, this is going to be fixed in Q4. Now, for the second part of the question, new EV codes created in XCVMPD that are generating multiple PMS IDs, this shouldn't be related to the transfer. So either the transfer is not managed correctly in XCVMPD, or the data in XCVMPD is not the same, and that's why you're generating different IDs. So it would be interesting that you check. And if you have any question or a specific case, then you might need to open a ticket in ServiceNow so we can check what is the issue there. So do the pack sizes of non-critical medicines need to be splitted as well in different EV codes in XCVMPD? In addition, do we submit only the marketed pack sizes or all of pack sizes mentioned in the SMPC? I can also take this one. So we have said that the priority right now is the products that are part of the union list of critical medicines. But of course, you will need to also submit the pack sizes for the rest of the portfolio. So those products that are not impacted by the union list of critical medicines. The deadline, it's by the end of 2027, you need to have all the pack sizes split in XMPD and enriched. And you need to submit all the authorized pack sizes. So not only the marketed ones, but all of the authorized pack sizes that appeared in the SMPC or in the approval letter. So there is this question, when XCVMPD will be decommissioned? Not for the moment. XCVMPD is still in place. You need to still submit your data and maintain your product data in XCVMPD. Internally, we are discussing what is the best strategy to decommission XCVMPD, which are the steps that we need to follow in order to decommission XCVMPD. Because as you might know, there are a lot of systems consuming data from XCVMPD, so it's not an easy task to just decommission the submission of data to XCVMPD. Whenever we have more information on when this is going to happen, don't worry, you will know it. But for the moment, we don't know yet when this is happening because, again, we still need to have and define the strategy with timelines, etc. So we don't have an answer for the moment to this question. So we have submitted many records in the last few months in order to enrich the pack sizes, but we have received a lower amount of acknowledgement from EMA. Given that these are new records and have to be reviewed, when is expected that we will receive this acknowledgement? We have received a big amount of new records due to this enrichment process and the split of the pack sizes. We have a bit of a backlog of records to be reviewed. So what we are doing is at least we are validating one pack size of this medicinal product, because this way we are allowing other systems to be using this product data. So ICSRs can be using the data, the pharmacovigilance fees, and other consuming systems. That allows everybody to have at least one package of the product reviewed and validated. What we will be doing is we will also come back and review these packages or these EV codes that have not been validated. We will make sure that we validate with the same information as the package that has been already validated, so we don't create discrepancies when we perform this validation. So again, as soon as one of those packages is validated, then it should be okay. The rest of the packages will be in PMS. We don't need to validate them to have them in PMS, and the enrichment process is not in a risk. So yeah, that would be the answer and the explanation on why you are receiving these acknowledgements. So when substances having flag 0 to 1 changed and submitted to XEVMPD, do we have to submit variations to the NCAs, or no variation is required, and this is replacing the substance to the correct one, and we only need to update the dossier and or the SMPC is enough? So none of them, you don't need to submit variations, and you don't need to change or update the dossiers and the SMPCs, because in order to change the SMPC, you first need to submit a variation. So we have always said that in XEVMPD, we accept data that is equivalent. And this is what is happening when we change the substances flow from flag 0 to flag 1. The substance is still the same. There is a change in the name. So we accept that in the SMPC and the data that is in XEVMPD is slightly different, but is equivalent. So you don't need to change the SMPC. You don't need to submit a variation. You just need to provide, let's say, the correct data in XEVMPD, and we are able to say, okay, this substance that we receive in XEVMPD, the name is slightly different, but it corresponds to this substance in SMS, which is the same that we have in the SMPC. So please don't submit variations and don't change the SMPC without a variation before. And I hope that is clear. Is the submission of composition mandatory to be done as per module 3, or it can be done as per the SMPC?
So you still have a choice. You can do it either as per module 3 or as per information in SMPC. So it is up to you.
Yeah, thank you. If you are going to the commission XEVMPD, why are you working for an upgrade user interface?
So the reason is that, as you know, ActiveX is a very outdated technical solution. We have received many comments and suggestions and questions related to, do I really have to have this uploaded? My company does not allow me to upload ActiveX. We have listened. We have come up with a new solution where you will not need to have ActiveX or indeed use the IETAB extension in order for you as XEVMPD user interface user to actually access XEVMPD and perform your medicinal product submissions. So this is why, as my colleague Marcos just mentioned, we do not know yet when exactly XEVMPD will be decommissioned. However, we know that the need for ActiveX was really something that was very difficult for some of the companies. So we have, as I mentioned, we have listened and we have tried to bring you a solution which is exactly or very similar to the current user interface without the need of these additional tools.
Thank you, Veronica. So does both interfaces, so the interface that requires ActiveX and an interface that does not require this ActiveX, will be available? Or once we have one, the other one will be discontinued?
So we will have a transitional period of about 3 months where both of the old user interface and the new user interface will be available. So you will be able to use either or of these solutions.
Thank you. Should the MA number should be at product level or pack size level? What about cases where there is no pack size level MA number? So, well, that depends on the country of authorization and how the authorization are granted by the national competent authority. So, to give you an example, Italy provides the authorization at package level. So every pack size has an independent MA number. So you need to provide the MA number at pack size level. Spain, for example, provides the same marketing authorization number per product. So all the packages will have the same marketing authorization number. So it depends on the country. Then you have national identifiers that are granted at package level, but that is not the MA number. I would recommend you maybe to go to chapter 3.2 of XEVMPD. There you have different examples on how the MA number should be provided depending on these cases. So yeah, it really depends on the country. Does the new XEVMPD user interface impact the current gateway connection?
No, this will not have any impact on gateway users. this only impacts web trader users, so companies that use the user interface to generate XEVPRM, submit them, and maintain their data.
Thank you. I think it's already time, right? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, then I think also this question was already replied. So I think we can move already to the next service. In this case is PMS. So the other Veronica Lipucci, over to you.
Thank you, Marcos, and good morning, everyone. Today I'm here to give you an update on what we've been doing so far in the last quarter and what we plan next, with a particular focus on quarter 4, which is the last one of this year. So over the last quarter, we have been focusing in terms of customer services. We have ServiceNow Ticket, which is reaching a quite high volume of data and data quality issues reported, but also questions. So we are doing our best to address all the tickets. One point to make is that with the different and several go lives and announcements, the number and the volume of ticket, either questions or simple incidents, they are gradually increasing over the time. So the team is really limited, and we're trying to do our maximum. So of course, as you can imagine, the volume will be increasing over the time, but then of course we plan to cover these activities throughout the whole year and in the future. Then in terms of information, data quality updates, we're also we have been planning, and we have also released this quarter quite a lot of documentation. The most important one is indeed the PMS FAQ document listing all the issues and identifying known issues that we have taken on board and we are addressing, because indeed of the different go lives and releases over the time, we have been focusing a lot in terms of documentation in updating the navigation guide, the registration guide, how to register if you want to access API for the right capability, how to navigate through the PUI for the bulk update or even single updates. All of this documentation have been updated. In addition to that, also the chapter 2 with the associated Annex 3. This is to give a bit more information on which are the business rules, especially with a specific focus on the MVP, the minimum viable products data that are now open for editing from user as registered. We have also released, as part of this bunch of documentation over summer, another new document which is called PMS Data Matrix Cross Platform. And this is basically giving a full overview of where the PMS data elements are reused and connected across different platforms such as EAF, ESMP, and so on. So I would encourage you to have a look. We also have open and released different versions over quarter 3, and also at the end of September, we have just released another version of the Bright PMS API implementation guide. This is a document very important for developers, vendors, or industry who wants to start aligning to PMS right capability via API and then start submitting data. In terms of documentation, of course, for quarter 4, we also plan to release another version on the FAQ, again, navigation guide, as this needs to be updated in terms of layout of the PUI portal. You might have noticed we have released an upgrade of this on the way you can see the data and navigate through updates. So that's the reason why we're going to update it. And also, last but not least, chapter 3, which is going to report specific information in terms on how the data can be provided, with a focus in particular of the manufacturer's data. We also plan to release a call for expression of interest over the publication will be end of quarter 4, but then the evaluation will run throughout the whole beginning of the quarter, so January, February, for the PMS SMEs. As you know, we have already a bunch of, we have colleagues from industry and NCAs, and as part of the Agile way of working, We also want to give the chance indeed to know to let other also colleagues to join this group and provide their feedback. We also plan to release chapter 4. This is the latest update. Unfortunately, or maybe it's for a good news, things are really changing from a day to the other. So we have been announcing that this will be released in Q4. Actually, we have refined further the plan, and this will be Q1 for 2026. So apologies, this is the latest news for these chapters. And also we plan to update a bunch of other chapters, such as chapter 5 and annex A to chapter 5. This is because one of the biggest release that we plan for Q1 is the release of the API public PMS. So we need to update also this security access policy. Last but not least, we went finally live in September with the bulk update, with the possibility to submit the bulk update and the API write. So I would invite all of you to start using these two tools, or at least align with the API and your RIM system. And then we are currently running, in terms of modernization and management of the functionalities we have, we are currently running an external UAT to release, ideally at the end of October, the read-only user roles for POI. This was released in Q3, but we have identified a quite significant technical issue that the team has been fixed in the backend, but now we want to make sure, so we're also running an external testing. So hopefully this will be ready by the end of the month. Then if I can have the next slide, I'm sure you're all familiar with a bunch of events we always run, system demo and the status update webinar, or monthly PMS Q&A clinics. You're very welcome to join, to ask questions. Sometimes it's faster than submitting a ticket, I must say. But this is just a recap for Q3 of what I mentioned already. Bunch of documentation. You can find all the links here. These have all been published throughout the third quarter of this year, and we're keeping constantly up to date with the progresses that we're making. POI bulk release functionality. This is indeed was very well awaited, and is important to allow industry with a big portfolio to submit a high volume of data via POI. Was released in September, and it hopefully facilitate and improve efficiently the way you submit the data. Same for the PMS API write functionality release. It's also been released a week apart from the first one in September, and it will allow industry and big pharma who are relying on the RIM system to connect to our PMS API and to finally write data straight away into PMS. So this will also have a quite important impact on you, because it will allow you to submit a big data on a big scales in an efficient way, and again, being also compliance with the ESMP timelines for shortage reporting. If I may have the next slide, colleagues. Thank you. What we are aiming to achieve in Q4, as I mentioned before, we're running external testing with the company to allow the release in production IAM of the POI industry read-only roles. These are roles that will allow the user to just read the information. So basically, we want to split the current roles that you already have, if you already requested it, which are the POI industry regular user role and the POI qualified user role, who have the functionality to read and write from the read-only ones. So in this case, you can, based on how your company is organized, you can even split further the level of accessibility. Data quality and bug fixes. This is something that actually is not only for quarter 4, it's something that we are constantly and continuously improving in terms of the known issue that we have identified at API level, at POI level. So we constantly do it. We plan to keep going with these remediation activities throughout the whole 2025, but we can anticipate that this won't finish there. We will continue for the 2026. This hopefully will gain a higher level of data quality, will remove some inefficiencies, and will facilitate also the effort that everybody is doing for mapping data, for preparing their data, and making sure that we are IDMP compatible. Last but not least, PMS SME call for expression of interest. If you may recall, back to 2021, we launched the very first call for interest. And since then, we are very grateful because we had a very efficient team, both from industry and NCA members who contributed to every release that you might have seen and noticed up to today. So I would really like to thank officially them all. As part of the agile way of working, they have been renewed for several years since 2021. So now we would like to also give the chance to even other colleagues from trade organization and NCAs to provide their efficient support and expertise on the rest of the epics that we are working on. As you know, PMS is a very active project. We are kind of in the middle because the fact that we have released the right functionality, it doesn't mean that we have finished. So the work is still quite significant. We are planning to release the call in December, thank you. And then we hope to have the new team onboarded in March. And then next slide, and I think I'm almost done. It's just a recap, colleagues. So we have a lot of work still to be done. We need to be also conscious of the time and the capacity we have. So far, we have been finally able to release the bright functionality API, the bulk functionality, single and also bulk. We release all the documentation as per requirements. Then what we're working on, as I said, is indeed make sure that from a PUI point of view, we have improvements in place. You might have noticed already some layouts have changed. We can re-expose finally and for all the read-only user roles. We keep going doing trainings, webinars, anything that can help the externals to submit the data. And last but not least, we move constantly to continuous data quality fixes. In future, call for expression of interest is one of the next steps we will tackle. Public PMS API, this is likely to come end of Q1 next year. And then also again, continuously improving over in general the 2026. Last but not least, for upgrade to R5 of PMS for the read part, this is something that will take the whole 2026. We may estimate 1 year of work. And then the famous XEVMPD, the commission, here again, as my colleagues mentioned, we are not able to give you a date on when this will be. But this is basically all. Okay, I finished my presentation. I don't know when I was muted exactly, but yeah, in case of questions.
Okay, then I think we can go to the questions for PMS.
Marcos, if you want, I can read the question and maybe you just move to the next one. So we avoid your...
Let's try now. I think I found the problem.
Okay. No, we are still here in echo. But yeah, maybe Veronica, you can... I mean, I can reply, but we have an echo here at the office.
Yeah, I can hear that. Okay, let's start from the first one. So Marcos, team working. If you show the question in Slido, then I'll reply. So will the Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein record be removed from PMS? If so, when this will be updated? And here, Marcos, I think I need you to reply this question because it's mostly from XEVMPD to PMS. Would you be able to reply?
Yes, I can reply to this one. Oh, and I think the echo is gone. Yeah. So, perfect. Yeah, sorry for that. I think we will give a couple of more minutes to the PMS questions because we have been spending a couple of times. Sorry for that. So yes, finally, we get to the most avoided question on the webinar. So here in this question, we are talking about CAPS records for Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. First of all, they are migrated from XEVMPD to the PMS API, but they are not shown in the product UI because those records are out of scope of any enrichment or they shouldn't be used in any regulatory process. That doesn't mean that you don't need to submit them to XEVMPD. The XEVMPD business rules still apply, and you need to submit those to XEVMPD. The only thing is we are not showing them in the product UI. There is a plan to also block them to be migrated to the PMS API. This has not been prioritized yet because we have other priorities and other bugs that we want to solve. So maybe this will happen in Q1 next year. But again, it's on the PMS API, not on the product UI. And this is also addressed on the PMS Q&A document. There is another question that some of the PMS IDs that we have for our products have recently changed after the updates on July and August at EMA. This is affecting how we track the products. Could you share the reasons for the change? It would be helpful to know if this is part of the system or is a data correction or another data process. So I can tell you that with the changes and with the data fixes that we made during summer, that has not changed any PMS ID because we just changed mappings with RMS. So we were just adding an RMS ID to the product. So we have not changed any PMS ID. So it would be interesting to know if you have made changes to XEVMPD that might trigger this change on the ID. But I can tell you none of the PMS IDs were changed during the updates that we were doing in July and August. So if you have any specific case, it would be interesting to check again XEVMPD updates, etc., because that might be the reason why. Okay, for the manufacturing start date for some very old records, maybe from the 60s, added the via variation, we don't have fine documents in our archive. Can you please guide us what date can be provided? Shall we provide the MA approval date? I think this is also included in the Q&A document and is also added in chapter 3, even in this version that is not the most updated one. It says that if you don't know the date when a manufacturer or a manufacturing business operations was authorized, because it's a very old product, then you can use the MA approval date. It is accepted for very old products. For new products, you should know this date, and then you need to provide the accurate one. But for old ones, we accept the MA approval date. There are reports, colleagues are reporting many bugs in PLM based. Meanwhile, the use of it is strongly recommended starting from end of September. What line copy behavior is recommended by EMA? I guess it's PLM EAF. So there are bugs on the EAF. So I would say that you need to contact the EAF team in order to get an answer to this question. Yeah, I cannot make any comment on the EAF side, sorry, on this case. Regarding the IDMP submission to the agency during an initial marketing authorization application, is it required to submit simultaneously with the marketing authorization application, or will the updates be incorporated into the PMS after approval? The current guidelines do not clearly specify the timeline or process for the IDMP submission. So for the moment, we have not changed any process or any regulatory process. Initial marketing authorization applications still worked as they were working, either for the centrally authorized products or for national or MRPs and DCPs. You need to still follow the approval process. Once it is approved, you need to go to XEVMPD, submit your data, and once this is submitted, the product will appear in PMS. So no changes. You need to wait until the product is approved, and then follow the normal processes, go to XEVMPD. So using the PMS API integrate into our RIM system or any third-party tool, is there any limitation to submit number of records, or can we submit thousands of records in a single transaction? Also, what kind of acknowledgement we get if we get the submission is successful, similar to XEVMPD? So in principle, there are no limitations on the number of records that are submitted to through the PMS API. To be honest, and to be on the safe side, I would not submit thousands of records at the beginning. You should be able to maybe group your submissions, for example, based on the MRPs and DCP procedures. But again, there is no limitation. Then there is an implementation guidance for the right PMS API. There you would be able to find how are you going to be notified about the successful transactions, or if there is any issue, you will also receive a message. We are also hosting a webinar on the 16th of October where we will provide additional information on that. But everything is available also in the implementation guidance. When the PMS read file R5 API will be available on PMS production. So what we are doing right now in Q4 is the analysis and the design of the strategy to upgrade from the current version of Fire, which is version 4.3, in order to go to R5. Once we have all the information and the strategy, we will be able to share information on when we will have this in production. For the moment, we don't have this information, but as soon as we have it, we will share it with you, the plan and the timelines. Is 32P31 and 32S21 the source for the manufacturing business operations? Yes. It's either these documents where you should have who are the manufacturers of the finished product and the active substance, but it might also be the EAF. So we have, for example, the CROs that are responsible for the bioequivalence studies. This is also an MBO that should be submitted to to PMS in case it is applicable. And this information, for example, you can find it in the application form. So yes, you can use also these documents for the business operations as well. When the high-level terms will be available in PMS for the MBOs enrichments? Yesterday. So from yesterday, the high-level terms are available. You can use them. In relation to Chapter 3, where the use of these high-level terms is explained, the SMEs are reviewing the updated guidance. So as soon as we receive the green light from them that everything is clear, we will be able to publish, hopefully, by the end of this week or next week at latest. But the terms are already available in PMS. The manufacturers should be added to its entry in PMS, but I'm not sure if this is referring to the final product. So it's for everything. All the manufacturers related to your product, not only the final product, but also related to the active substance, should be submitted to PMS. Again, Chapter 3 of the EUIG gives all the information on how this data should be entered. And it explains which manufacturers, how you can submit it, etc. So I would recommend you to go to Chapter 3. I think we can have still maybe 2 more questions. So the mapping of the manufacturing operation type for to RMS for PMS enrichment. If the dosage granularity of 32S21 and module 32S and 32P is different from the proposed RMS granularity, for example, the testing, Must the MA holder align or adjust the dossier to the RMS granularity, or can the dossier remain as is and parent level apply? So again, don't change your dossier without variations. Don't change anything just because you need to submit the data for PMS. If your documentation provides the information as a parent level of the term in RMS, you can submit these high-level terms to PMS. If your dossier or the information that you have in the variation form has been provided with the lower terms, then you can submit the lower terms to PMS. For newer products, the EAFs should have been submitted with the lower terms because they are following this granularity. For old products, the granularity was different. It was used at parent level, so you can submit at parent level to PMS. So it will depend on the product, how old the product it is, and how many times the changes have been, when the changes were provided. Just please have a look at this. Okay. Can you describe what is considered as old product? Is there established cutoff date to label a product as old product? No, it is. So we have this concept of a legacy product. It's products that were authorized a long time ago, but we don't have a cutoff date when we consider a legacy product or not. That depends on the information that you have in your dossier and how this information is captured. Again, in some dossiers and variation forms, the data is captured as high-level terms from RMS. In others, is on a lower term. That depends on your product, when it was authorized, how the data was captured. For us, the more granular information we receive, the better, because then we can use it for analysis. It's better for us. But if you don't have this information because it's an old product or a legacy product, then we accept the information in a higher level granularity. But we don't have a date by when you say, yeah, this is a legacy product, this is a new product. We don't have this information. Maybe one more question, so we do until 12 to 10. 12 past 10, sorry. So the start date, is this the date when the site was first approved? When there is a name change for the company, for example, via a variation, will the MBO start date provided for the site be the variation approval date? So chapter 2 explains what is the meaning of each of the terms. The start date is when the manufacturer was approved the first time by the competent authority to be able to, was approved to be a manufacturer for this specific product. If the company is changing the name, the company is still the same, it's just a name change. So you should not change the start date because the same manufacturer was already approved. We are just changing the name, not adding a new manufacturer. So you don't need to change the start date. So yeah, again, what it terms means is explained, and you have examples in chapter 2. So I think it would be the best way to understand what is the meaning of each of the terms. So with this, I think we can now go to some of the SPOR updates and the NCA's updates. This is something that we are doing because we listen to you, we receive your feedback through the surveys and everything. There was a bit of request on providing you an update on how NCAs are dealing with the mappings, etc. So I think we can go a bit through this topic. And Isabel, over to you.
So thank you, Marcos. So as Marcos explained last webinar, you gave us feedback that you wanted to dive into a few featured topics, not just the regular updates. And today we chose 3 for you. The first one that you see on screen actually came from your industry peers that recommended we should share this information a bit more widely on what we're doing to support NCAs also to prepare for PMS. So as you know, industry is being requested to submit packages in XEVMPD and to complete package details and manufacturers in PMS using the PUI or the PMS API. On the other hand, NCAs are also preparing to integrate with PMS and exchange information for the purpose of shortages. And what's happening is that NCAs are mapping their product data across their systems to PMS. And as the deadlines for industry have been extended, so have the deadlines for NCAs been extended. So the mapping of product data across NCAs databases and PMS has also been extended to June 26. At the level at the moment, we are currently only mapping the data at product level. We are soon to start the package level data mapping, but a few attempts made so far shown us that we don't necessarily have all the packages already in place, and we don't want to be restarting this. So please, activities of industry also impact the successful activities for NCAs. It's important that we have all the packages submitted to XEVMPD as soon as possible so that we can progress with the mapping. We also host monthly webinars with NCAs, not just to share the progress of these activities, but also to share knowledge of how the mapping process is going, to share lessons across NCAs of their different approaches and tips and ways to address any issue that may come. Now, very importantly, I think there's been a significant progress in terms of this. And as you can see, we have at the moment 6 NCAs for which we don't know the status of their mapping activities. We have 3 NCAs that we've started the mapping of their product data, but we realize that they will still require a little bit of data transformations, playing a bit more with data so that we can automate the mapping of the product data across the NCA system and PMS. But we have a significant number of NCAs with a very high level of progress that we've managed to automatically match the data. 2 NCAs, we've already completed the mapping at product level, and 20 NCAs, so as you can see, really a significant number, already even at automated matching, we have a success rate to 80 to 99%. And we are convinced that we can complete the mapping at product level before the end of the year. Now, very importantly, the next step, and until June 26, to make NCA succeed, we need all the package data in XEVMPD so we can map the data also at package level. So please do collaborate so that we can all have a successful implementation. Next slide. Now, moving on to the second topic. The second topic is about the SPOR engagements. We've also heard many times feedback from you that we never had enough time to address all of the questions. And as you can see, we're busy looking at the presentation. We don't always have time to be writing the answers to all the questions we receive in Slido. So we created the opportunity to have what we call question and answer monthly clinics. There's monthly clinics on substance organizations and referentials, dedicated clinics on PMS, and dedicated clinics on XEVMPD. So every month for 1 hour, you can come and ask us any question to your heart's content, and colleagues will be available to address them. And that's how we hope we can address all the questions that are out there. As you've heard also today, we've launched the SPOR and XEVMPD customer satisfaction survey. So if the clinics give you an opportunity to ask us questions, the customer satisfaction survey gives you the opportunity to give us direct and measurable feedback. So for example, if the clinics is something that you do appreciate and you think we should be doing more, at the moment we've only scheduled them until December. So please tell us via the customer satisfaction survey that this is something you appreciate, so we can continue doing it. We will continue investing in the things that you appreciate and maybe deprioritize those that you don't, or focus on areas that you tell us are worth improving. So please use those opportunities to give us feedback. Also give us feedback at every webinar, at every session, so that we have a look and see how we can adjust next time. Now, next slide. So for those who are more familiar, more regular users to the SPOR portal, you may have noticed that as of 1st of October, there's been a change to the portal. And first of all, why this has happened. So as you know, we have different requests coming to us. Most of the requests come via the service, via the SPOR portal, but we also have some change requests that come to us via the service desk because they couldn't be catered in the SPOR portal. Also strategically, EMA is trying to integrate the EMA service desk as a central point of contact for all requests of users, whether they're issues, whether they're questions, whether they're requests for data or requests for general services. So we are pursuing a strategy of optimizing our own operational efficiencies by centralizing activities in EMA service desk as a central point. We recognize that many of you are already well familiar with the EMA service desk, with the ticketing system, also with the interactive chat functionalities that you can ask questions. And we anticipated that this would be a seamless transition to most of the users. But please note, this is not a one-off glitch in the system. This is really something that will remain for the time being, a change in the way we provide the services. So what has changed concretely? So if you want to browse substance data, OMS data, referentials, the different lists in RMS, you will still use the SPOR portal to do that. We still will publish and continue publishing more documents in the SPOR documentation guidance. And specifically to this change, you will be able to see the guidance, how the process has changed in the SPOR portal under the document A6 alternative access solution. So if you click there, there's more information. We have a temporary possibility to export all OMS active organizations. Also, there's a file under the document section. And concretely, what has changed is that at 1st of October, all of the OMS and RMS change requests need to be submitted via the EMA service desk. At the moment, you also need to request detailed exports in the EMA service desk portal. So if you want a specific search results, if you want the history of OMS, if you want exports of a specific list of all the lists in RMS, you need to raise a ticket in EMA service desk portal. Similarly, also for translations, if you need to translate a particular list, please contact us via a ticket. Tell us which list you need to translate. We will provide you the template for you to fill in the translations. And once you complete them, you can resubmit them to us and we will upload on your behalf. This is how we support the translation process. At the moment, there are no changes to the API users. So those who've invested in using the API will still be able to submit change requests, to download data as they did before. Nothing has changed for these users. Now, I've seen questions on Slido, and at the moment, we are still exploring the best way forward. While we're creating our own operational efficiencies. And this is the situation that will remain for the time being. We will let you know when we know more details of exactly how we will adjust the service desk portal and the SPOR portal in the future. And we ask you to bear with us, and we will share more information in the next webinar in January. So we appreciate your understanding. We are aware that there could be some inconvenience in the short term, but we really appreciate your cooperation and flexibility as we implement these changes. And we wanted to share with you our true commitment that we will improve and address the situation as soon as possible for the benefit of our own operational efficiencies, but also to our customers. And that's as much as we have on the SPOR service changes. So just a quick look on the questions that we had in Slido for this. I think the questions that we had on the SPOR access have been addressed.
Yeah, I think there are just maybe two questions that would be interesting, and it's for OMS and RMS. So there are a couple of questions on maybe Deborah and Jaume, how you can request the access for the history of the organizations, and then Jaume on how to request the RMS lists and the translation. So maybe if we can cover these two topics, the rest of the questions were already addressed by Isabel.
Maybe Deborah first.
Yeah, thank you. So for those exports or search-related exports or exports with history, they should be requested using the OMS request service form. So not the OMS change request form, but the other form, the request for service. And you will be, when you're populating the form, there is a drop down. You have a field called type, and then you'll be able to select that what you want to get is an Excel. If you provide the identifiers, loc ID or organization ID, we will be able to send you via the ticket, via ServiceNow, the OMS export.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Maybe Jaume, you can elaborate on the request the RMS list and the translations.
Yeah. So for both things, the request is the same. So EMA service desk, and then the user should select the request RMS service type of request. So not the RMS change request, but request RMS service. And then the user should specify exactly what they need. So ideally, please provide the list ID and the list name to make sure that we are talking about the same thing. And then perhaps in the case, so it's the same form for both exports and translations, but maybe importantly for translations, please also specify if it's the whole list that you need, or maybe just a subset, and also what is the language for which the user will be providing translations, so that we can ensure that the template that we provide has all the placeholders for the languages that are needed. And you can find details of this in the A6 document that was referred to earlier.
Perfect. Thank you, Jaume. So I think we can move on in the 6 minutes that we have to the conclusions that I think will be presented by Isabel. So over to you.
So maybe just a brief recap. We have roughly 3 pillars of focus areas. One is about efficient regulatory data services, maintaining our data. In Q3, we focused on cleansing the herbals for SMS. We did the ATC human and vet yearly summary updates, and now you can see what has changed. And very importantly, for those submitting applications, there is a new list variation classification that was published just at the end of Q3 that you could and should have a look at. Internally, we also launched our own data management tender. So these are procurement processes that we repeat every few years and that ensure the continuity of our service. In terms of customer satisfaction and success, we do focus a lot of this, and we launch these monthly clinics so that you have more opportunities to contact us, to ask us your questions. We organize the SPOR information and training materials, particularly on the YouTube channel. There's now playlists available, so it should be easier to locate the information that you need. And we've also updated SMS, OMS, and PMS guidance. On the third pillar of our focus, in terms of modernizing our solutions and our services, we completed the knowledge transfer to our new IT provider. And very importantly, we had 2 main go lives. So first was OMS, where we went live in July with, via the API, you can now see the reason why a specific OMS record has changed. we call this OMS version. And more recently in PMS front, we also went live with the bulk update on the product user interface and the API writing capabilities to submit manufacturers and structured package details. And internally, we're working on the upgrading the XEVMPD and also the PMS activities. So that was a brief recap of Q3. In terms of what we're doing this quarter, so points to highlight to you in terms of provision of services, we are continuing with cleansing a few substances. Deborah mentioned that there is a draft policy on alternative names. So if there's something that concerns that you would like to use some alternative names and you had issues in the past, please have a look at that draft policy and send us any feedback that you deem relevant. We've also published RMS lists, VEDRA yearly update. And on the XEVMPD PMS front, word specifically for NCA users, the mapping services have been extended also to June 27. And for industry users who use specifically the XEVMPD user interface, you will be able to see updated documents with screenshots of how the solution would look ahead of the go live. So if you're curious, if you want to prepare, that information will be shared a few months in advance of go live. Now, in terms of customer satisfaction, we have launched the customer satisfaction survey. Please spare a few minutes to give us feedback. And coming next, we are working on the XEVMPD user interface upgrade, but the Q4, we will only be doing an internal UAT. You can expect the changes to be rolled out in Q1 26. So that gives you a flavor of what we're working on. Now, last but not least, in the last 2 minutes, if you could spare the 2 minutes to go to this particular Slido link. This is different from the customer satisfaction survey. So this is for today's webinar. Please let us know what you thought about it, whether you like the feature topics, for example, what other feature topics you would like to see. I took note about the SVG timelines. But if there's anything else, please let us know, and we will try to accommodate in the next webinar in January. And I think that was it, with 2 minutes to spare for you to give us feedback in Slido. I hope you appreciate it. It's very early, but I know we won't have another webinar until Christmas, so Merry Christmas already and see you in January.